What happens when a beloved actress is pushed too far by a host who forgets her place? In just 36 seconds of biting remarks, Lorraine Kelly would transform from daytime darling to the most talked about villain on television. This is the story of how one morning show went from friendly chat to full-blown warfare, live on air. It started like any other Tuesday morning on The Lorraine Kelly Show. The studio lights were bright, the audience was settled, and Brenda Blethyn had arrived to promote her latest project. She walked onto the set with that warm smile audiences had loved for decades, waving to the crowd as they applauded. She wore a simple navy blue dress, elegant but understated, her gray hair styled softly around her face. She looked every bit the gracious guest. Lorraine Kelly sat in her usual chair, clipboard in hand, flanked by her regular panel members. To her left was Marcus, the show's entertainment correspondent, a younger man in his 30s who usually kept things light with celebrity gossip. To her right sat Jennifer, the lifestyle expert who typically discussed fashion and home decor. Both of them smiled as Brenda took her seat across from Lorraine. "Welcome, welcome," Lorraine said, but there was something clipped about her tone, something that did not quite reach her eyes. "Thank you for having me," Brenda replied warmly. "It is lovely to be here." The first few minutes proceeded normally enough. Lorraine asked about Brenda's new film, a period drama that had been receiving exceptional reviews. Brenda spoke enthusiastically about the project, about working with the director, about the beautiful locations where they had filmed. "It was truly a labor of love," Brenda explained. "We spent 3 months in the countryside, and every day felt like a gift. The entire cast became like family." "How nice," Lorraine said, and again, there was that edge. "Must be wonderful to have all that time to dedicate to one project. Some of us have to work every single day, you know." Brenda blinked, clearly taken aback by the comment. The audience shifted uncomfortably. Marcus glanced at Jennifer, eyebrows raised. "Well, yes," Brenda said carefully. "It was quite demanding, actually. Early call times, long days on set." "Oh, I am sure it was exhausting," Lorraine interrupted, her voice dripping with something that was not quite sarcasm, but close. "Being waited on hand and foot by a crew of hundreds, staying in lovely hotels, eating catered meals. Truly grueling." The studio fell silent. Even the camera operators seemed to freeze. This was not the usual friendly banter of a morning chat show. Brenda's smile remained fixed, but her eyes showed confusion. "I am not sure I understand what you mean, Lorraine." "I just think it is interesting," Lorraine continued, leaning back in her chair with an air of superiority. "How some actors talk about their work as if it is the hardest thing in the world. Meanwhile, real people are out there doing real jobs." "Lorraine," Marcus interjected nervously, "I think maybe we should—" "No, no," Lorraine cut him off with a wave of her hand. "I'm just saying what everyone thinks. These film people, they get paid millions to play pretend, and then they complain about how difficult it is." Brenda's expression shifted. The warmth drained from her face, replaced by something steelier. "I have never complained about my work. I consider myself incredibly fortunate to do what I do." "Do you, though?" Lorraine challenged. "Because from where I sit, it seems like you have had everything handed to you. Nice roles, award nominations, respect. Some of us have had to fight for every single thing we have." The audience began to murmur. Jennifer looked mortified, her hand coming up to her mouth. "I am not sure what I have done to offend you," Brenda said quietly, and there was dignity in her voice. "But I can assure you, I have worked very hard for my career. I started in repertory theater, earning barely enough to survive. I spent years doing small roles, audition after audition, rejection after rejection." "Oh, please," Lorraine scoffed. "Everyone has a sob story. The difference is, some of us do not need to make everything about ourselves." "I was answering your questions," Brenda pointed out, her voice still calm but growing firmer. "You asked about my film, and you have gone on and on about it, Lorraine snapped. Do you know how boring it is to listen to actors talk about their process and their craft? Nobody cares. Marcus tried again. Lorraine, maybe we should take a break. We are not taking a break, Lorraine said sharply. I am tired of pretending that these interviews are anything other than promotional vehicles for people who already have more than enough attention. The audience was no longer murmuring. They were silent, watching in shock as their beloved morning host revealed a side of herself no one had seen before. Brenda sat up straighter in her chair. If you did not want me on your show, why did you invite me? Because my producers thought it would be good for ratings, Lorraine replied with a dismissive shrug. They seem to think that having someone like you on will make people tune in. Personally, I think audiences are smarter than that. Someone like me? Brenda repeated, her voice quiet but dangerous. Older actresses who are past their prime but still desperate for relevance, Lorraine said, and the words hung in the air like a bomb waiting to explode. Jennifer gasped audibly. Marcus looked like he wanted to sink through the floor. The audience began to react, some booing, some simply sitting in stunned silence. Brenda's face remained remarkably composed, though her jaw tightened. That is an appalling thing to say. It is the truth, Lorraine insisted. Look, I am just being honest here. Something this industry needs more of. You are what, 70-something? 78? How many good roles are you really going to get at this point? This film you are promoting is probably going to be straight to streaming anyway. Actually, Brenda said, and her voice was ice now, it has already been selected for several major festivals and has distribution deals in over 40 countries. But thank you for your concern about my career. I am not concerned about your career, Lorraine shot back. I am just tired of the charade. I'm tired of having to sit here and pretend to be interested in every actor who walks through that door thinking they are special. Then perhaps you are in the wrong profession, Brenda suggested coolly. Lorraine's face flushed red. Excuse me? If you find interviewing people so tedious, Brenda continued, perhaps you should consider doing something else. Because the job of a talk show host is to make guests feel welcome and to have genuine conversations with them, not to attack them unprovoked. I am not attacking you, Lorraine protested. I am being real. No, Brenda said firmly. You are being cruel. There is a difference. Marcus finally found his voice. Ladies, I think we all need to just take a breath here. This has gotten out of hand. Stay out of this, Marcus, Lorraine snapped at him. This is between me and Miss High and Mighty here. My name is Brenda, she said quietly, and I have been nothing but polite to you since I arrived. Polite? Lorraine laughed bitterly. Is that what you call it? Coming in here with your fancy dress and your stories about making art. Meanwhile, I am here every single morning at 5 a.m. doing the real work of television. I have never suggested that what you do is not work, Brenda replied. In fact, I have always admired people who can do live television. It takes a different kind of skill. Do not patronize me, Lorraine hissed. I am not, Brenda insisted. I am trying to understand why you are so hostile toward me. Jennifer leaned forward hesitantly. Maybe we could talk about something else. Brenda, I loved your outfit at the premiere last week. Could you tell us who designed it? We are not talking about fashion, Lorraine cut her off. And I will decide what we discuss on my show. It is actually our show, Marcus said quietly. We are all part of the panel. Lorraine turned on him. You are part of the panel because I allow you to be part of the panel. Do not forget that. The audience began to boo again, louder this time. Someone shouted, "Leave her alone." Lorraine ignored them. Her attention was fixed on Brenda. You know what your problem is? You think you are better than everyone else. You think because you have been in a few successful films that you deserve special treatment. I have never asked for special treatment, Brenda said. I simply came here to talk about my work. Your work, Lorraine mocked, as if what you do is so important. You pretend to be other people for a living. Children do that for free. That is a very reductive way to describe acting, Brenda responded. By that logic, what you do is just talking to people. Everyone does that for free as well. The audience erupted. Some laughed. Some applauded. Lorraine's face went from red to purple. How dare you? She seethed. How dare I? Brenda's voice rose for the first time. How dare you treat a guest on your show with such disrespect? I came here in good faith, and you have done nothing but insult me from the moment I sat down. If you cannot handle a tough interview, Lorraine said coldly, then maybe you should not do interviews. This is not a tough interview, Brenda countered. A tough interview involves challenging questions about your work, your choices, your opinions. And this is just you being needlessly cruel for reasons I cannot begin to understand. Marcus tried once more to intervene. I think what Lorraine is trying to say is, I know exactly what she is trying to say, Brenda interrupted. She is trying to belittle me and make herself feel superior, and I am not going to sit here and allow it to continue. Then leave, Lorraine challenged. Nobody is forcing you to stay. You are right, Brenda said, and something in her voice shifted, a finality that made everyone pay attention. Nobody is forcing me to stay. She stood up, and the movement was so sudden, so decisive, that it took everyone by surprise. Sit down, Lorraine commanded. We are not finished. Yes, Brenda said calmly, we are. She began to remove the small microphone clipped to her dress. Her hands were steady. Her movements deliberate. Jennifer looked like she might cry. Marcus stared at Lorraine with something like disbelief. If you walk off this set, Lorraine threatened, you will never work in this industry again. Brenda paused, the microphone now in her hand. She looked at Lorraine for a long moment, and when she spoke, her voice was quiet but carried to every corner of the studio. I have been working in this industry for over 50 years. I have won awards, earned the respect of my peers, and touched the hearts of audiences around the world. If you think you have the power to end my career, then you are even more deluded than I thought. The audience burst into applause. It started with one person, then another. Then suddenly half the studio was on their feet, clapping and cheering for Brenda. Lorraine sat frozen, her mouth open, but clearly not expecting this response. Furthermore, Brenda continued, her voice growing stronger, the way you have treated me today says everything about you and nothing about me. I do not know what is going on in your life that has made you so bitter, but taking it out on your guests is unprofessional and, frankly, beneath you. You do not get to lecture me, Lorraine sputtered. I am not lecturing you, Brenda said. I am simply stating facts. You invited me here, and then you ambushed me. You made personal attacks, ageist comments, and dismissive remarks about my profession, all while I sat here trying to maintain civility. Marcus stood up. Brenda is right, Lorraine. This has gone too far. Sit down, Marcus, Lorraine ordered. No, he said, and that one word seemed to shock Lorraine more than anything else. I have worked with you for 3 years, and I have never seen you behave like this. It is unacceptable. Jennifer nodded, finding her courage. I agree. Brenda has been nothing but gracious, and you have been horrible to her. You are both fired, Lorraine declared. You cannot fire us on air, Marcus pointed out, and honestly, after today, I'm not sure I want to work here anymore anyway. The audience was in chaos now, some cheering, some booing Lorraine, everyone talking at once. The camera crew did not seem to know where to point their cameras. Brenda placed the microphone carefully on her chair. I wish you well, Lorraine. I truly do. But I will not stay somewhere I am not respected. Your loss, Lorraine spat. You need this show more than we need you. Do I? Brenda asked, and there was almost pity in her eyes. Because from where I stand, I have a career full of accomplishments that I am proud of. I have work that matters to me, people who respect me, and the knowledge that I have always treated others with kindness and professionalism. Can you say the same? Lorraine had no response. She sat there, her clipboard clutched in her white-knuckled hands, looking suddenly very small in her big chair. "I thought not," Brenda said softly. She turned to face the audience. "Thank you all for your support. It means the world to me." The applause intensified. People were standing, clapping, some wiping tears from their eyes. One woman shouted, "We love you, Brenda!" Brenda smiled, a genuine smile that lit up her whole face. "I love you too." Then she turned to Marcus and Jennifer. "You two are clearly talented people who deserve better than this. I hope you find it." "Thank you," Jennifer said, and her voice broke slightly. Marcus nodded, unable to speak. Brenda walked toward the exit, her head held high, her shoulders back. Every step was measured, dignified. She did not rush. She did not storm off. She simply walked away with the grace and poise of someone who knew her own worth. "This is not over," Lorraine called after her, but her voice sounded hollow now, desperate. Brenda stopped at the edge of the stage. She turned back one last time. "Yes, it is." And then she was gone, disappearing through the studio doors as the audience continued to cheer. The cameras stayed on Lorraine, who sat in her chair looking stunned. The reality of what had just happened seemed to be sinking in. She looked at Marcus and Jennifer, who were both staring at her with expressions of disappointment and disbelief. "Well," Lorraine said, trying to regain control, "that was certainly dramatic." "That was terrible," Jennifer said quietly. "How could you treat her like that?" "I was just doing my job," Lorraine insisted, but even she did not sound convinced. "Your job is to interview people," Marcus said, "not to tear them down." "I do not need a lecture from you," Lorraine snapped. "Maybe you do," Marcus replied, "because what just happened was wrong. Completely wrong." The audience continued to buzz with conversation. Someone yelled, "You owe her an apology." Others joined in. "Apologize? That was disgusting." "Poor Brenda," Lorraine tried to speak over them. "Let us all just calm down. We have more show to do." But nobody was listening. The producers were frantically signaling from the control room. The other staff members looked shell-shocked. Everything had fallen apart in a matter of minutes. "I think we need to go to commercial," Marcus suggested. "We are not going to commercial," Lorraine said stubbornly. "We are going to continue with the show." "What show?" Jennifer asked. "Our guest just left because you attacked her for no reason. Our audience is angry. What exactly are we supposed to do now?" Lorraine opened her mouth, then closed it again. She had no answer. A producer ran onto the set, whispering urgently in Lorraine's ear. She listened, her face growing paler by the second. Then she nodded stiffly. "We are going to take a short break," she announced to the audience, and her voice had lost all its earlier confidence. "That is what we suggested 5 minutes ago," Marcus muttered. As the studio lights dimmed for the commercial break, Lorraine sat in her chair, alone now, as Marcus and Jennifer walked off set together. The audience members were on their phones, no doubt already sharing what they had witnessed. The crew moved around mechanically, but everyone avoided looking at Lorraine directly. She had started the morning as a beloved television host. She was ending it as something else entirely. And unlike Brenda, who had left with her dignity intact and the support of everyone watching, Lorraine was surrounded by people, yet completely alone. The contrast could not have been starker. Brenda Blethyn had walked away from a toxic situation with her head held high, proving that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is refuse to accept mistreatment. She had not raised her voice beyond what was necessary. She had not resorted to personal attacks. She had simply stood up for herself with quiet strength and undeniable grace. Meanwhile, Lorraine Kelly had revealed something ugly beneath her polished television persona. Whatever had motivated her behavior, whether jealousy or insecurity or something else entirely, she had chosen to lash out at someone who had done nothing to deserve it. And in doing so, she had lost the respect of her colleagues, her audience, and quite possibly herself. The irony was not lost on anyone present. Lorraine had accused Brenda of thinking she was better than everyone else, but it was Lorraine who had behaved as though the rules of common decency did not apply to her. It was Lorraine who had acted entitled, who had abused her position of power, who had forgotten that being a host means serving your guests, not attacking them. As the commercial break stretched on, stagehands whispered among themselves. Audience members shared shocked reactions. And somewhere beyond those studio doors, Brenda Blethyn was likely already in a car heading away from this mess, her reputation not only intact, but enhanced by how she had handled an impossible situation. She had shown what true class looks like. Not expensive clothes, or famous friends, or impressive credits, though she had all of those things, but real class, the kind that cannot be bought or faked, the kind that comes from knowing who you are and refusing to compromise your dignity for anyone. And that, perhaps, was what had threatened Lorraine so much. Because when you are genuinely secure in yourself, when you have earned your success through talent and hard work and treating people well, you do not need to tear others down to feel important. You do not need to prove your worth by diminishing someone else. Brenda Blethyn had demonstrated that principle perfectly. She had not needed to fight dirty or stoop to Lorraine's level. She had simply refused to participate in the game Lorraine was trying to play. And in doing so, she had won in every way that mattered. The commercial break ended eventually. The show had to continue somehow, but everyone there knew that something had fundamentally changed. You cannot unsee what they had all witnessed. You cannot unhear those words. You cannot unfeel the discomfort and shock and secondhand embarrassment of watching someone abuse their power so blatantly. Lorraine would have to face the consequences of her actions. Her colleagues would remember. Her audience would remember. The internet would definitely remember. But more than any of that, she would have to face herself and the knowledge that when tested, when given the opportunity to be kind or cruel, professional or petty, gracious or mean-spirited, she had made all the wrong choices. Brenda Blethyn had made all the right ones.